a friend told me about Bitcoin, so I started buying some Bitcoin pretty early, back when way back, and ever since I've been learning more and more about Bitcoin. That it's become for me an economic paradigm shift for the world, and it's just an incredible time to be alive and be involved in it. So with the intersection of military and some of my businesses helping the military, Bitcoin just those things came together. We started Bitcoin Veterans about a year and a half ago, and now it's grown into a pretty big organization that just helps vets get on another type of mission that is really meaningful and really matters, about decentralization, bringing power back down from central entities back down to the individual, which of course requires responsibility. But I now live in East Tennessee up in the mountains, and I've got a regenerative farm that keeps me busy during most of the day.
Awesome. Thanks, Randy. My name is Kevin Rash. I spent 23 years in the United States Air Force. So I was an enlisted guy. Spent 17 years as an Air Force chaplain, actually. My last 5 years, I worked with ODA or pararescue, so was part of human performance teams. I was active duty and reserve during that time and got to do some government acquisitions. We were building future capability as a GS civilian. So loved the military. My wife was active duty 11 years, enlisted jet engine mechanic. I got connected with the Bitcoin veteran guys, and they've been a really great group of people. Recently, about a year and a half, I've been working with Mara, so got into the Bitcoin space. I've been watching the debt clock for 25 years, lived through the global financial crisis. I got 4 kids. I was thinking about, whether my money was going to be worth anything, whether I was going to get a pension for my military career. Ended my career a little bit short because I didn't want the vax, so I thought it was overreach, so resigned my commission and left the beloved PJ community that I loved. And then been working in Mara, did some Bitcoin mining stuff, was working in the mining ops side, and most recently since July, I've been working in the energy space, so looking at how do we go get energy assets and how do we start making sure that we own the full stack, so looking at off-grid or on-site power, part of Bitcoin Veterans, but also part of Operation Bitcoin, which is an adjacent nonprofit that seeks to educate veterans about how Bitcoin can be important for their lives and also trying to get people Bitcoin jobs. So I'm here because I love Bitcoin and because I love veterans. So I came in from Central Florida. My wife and I have been married 21 years. We got triplet 16-year-olds and a 14-year-old. But I'm here because the most important thing you can give people is your time, attention, and energy. And I believe in this community, and I believe in Bitcoin. So thanks for your time.
Rock and roll. Eco.
I'm a Kano Alchemist. Most of you may know me from shitposting on Twitter. I'm the co-host of Pod 256 and co-founder of the 256 Foundation, which recently got some attention for solo mining a Bitcoin block.
In that chair, maybe in the chair that, yeah, round of applause for that. I think you were sitting in the chair that was simply amazing. Check the receipts.
So yeah, that got the foundation some much needed traction, and that's been keeping us pretty busy in recent days. Yeah, and just general freedom tech advocate. So.
Yeah, and we'll get to Free Samurai, your hat, in a minute. So, Randy, you mentioned kind of the mission, right? And so a lot of folks, and have been to the Army or anything, but a lot of by the way, who's a veteran in the audience out of curiosity? Okay, awesome. We got a number of folks. The mission, and it feels like Bitcoin could be this new mission potentially for folks. I don't know if that's something you want to kind of expand on and maybe why it's drawn you to Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's an easy one, actually. In the military, you learn eventually. You start with tactics, operations, and move to strategy. All of it's based around a mission. What objective you're trying to accomplish, and how to get there. So the more time you spend in the military, the more mission focused you become. and we don't do anything in the military without a mission. And that is why we get up. That's why we lace up our boots, and that's why we make sure everything is good to go. And so once you get out of the military, it's a big paradigm shift because it's a big world, and you don't know what's next, and your mission is blank, right? So so people, so guys when they get out of the military, guys and girls, when they get out of the military, there's usually a period of adjustment. They have a hard time. Sometimes it gets rough. Sometimes it goes right and left, and sometimes they know exactly what they want to do. But what we do is we educate guys who are both in the military as well as getting out that there is something more meaningful than just going to some foreign place and doing what your government tells you to do. Something more meaningful that we can all coalesce around that actually can help people today as well as in the future, in the near future, in a very meaningful way.
And how big is the Bitcoin Veterans Group now?
So last count, I think we're hitting close to about 1,000 people in all of our chats.
That's amazing.
It's mainly U.S. focused, but we do have some foreign people in there too. Bitcoin's for everybody, so we just don't reach out very much to overseas.
So Bitcoin Veterans is like more of an advocacy group to help veterans on board and just know that there's a bigger mission. And I'll get to Operation Bitcoin, which is helping find purposeful employment, I would say, post. Yeah. Is that fair? Okay, great.
Yep.
So what are some of the ways the community then could help you guys with more outreach, or are there any other things that the Bitcoin community could help you guys with?
Yeah, there's a few different things. Obviously we are a nonprofit, so you can always donate it if you want to. For example, when Hurricane Helene came through Western North Carolina, I was actually in right in the middle of it. So my farm turned into kind of an operations center where a bunch of Bitcoin veterans as well as just regular veterans came in, pitched tents, and we started ferrying goods down into North Carolina as well as East Tennessee. Money flowed in. We were able to distribute that, get heaters and stuff like that. That's not generally our mission, but we were just called and felt called to take part in that. But in the meantime, all we really need is just conversations with vets and Marines, because we get the mission piece. And all we have to do is tell them what the mission is and why it's important. They got it. And so the community can help in all sorts of ways. Just getting the word out there, going to our website, bitcoinveterans.org, on Twitter, Nostr, of course, and all the socials. So, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it.
How did you guys even find Bitcoin, out of curiosity?
Well, for me, I was watching the debt clock from probably my poli-sci class in 99, 2000, so I'm 46.
Dang, so you were in Bitcoin in 99?
No, but I'm just saying, yeah, but I'm watching the debt clock. I lived through the bubble, the housing bubble in Phoenix, had a couple rental properties as a young enlisted dude, had a friend that encouraged me to liquidate those properties in 2007, told me the whole thing was going to be a scam. He was around when the savings and loan scandal took place in the 80s. And I watched how the TARP came in and supposedly, capital's going to free up debt. That didn't happen, So I was watching all of that. And then I think also, when I was enlisted dude, but then when I became an officer, we would talk openly in our professional development courses about the debt being a national security issue, about whether or not, we would go to war with certain countries over certain things. And so increasingly, you started to see this war play out and all this money get wasted. And then when I did work in government acquisitions, I saw the waste. I saw how we were building future capability, and it's a holdover from 5 decades of bureaucracy being built up and us being very poor at the way we go about building future capability. So there were several things that came together. And then when I discovered Bitcoin and I saw, inflation, I bought a house in Florida, and it's almost worth double today. And so I couldn't afford my own house if I wanted to move. And so I was watching inflation just literally take off, debt take off. And then I heard Michael Saylor and several others talk about Bitcoin in 2020. And so for me, it was the first time there was actually a solution that made sense. And so I liquidated my 401k that I'd gotten from the government and went all in. And then I climbed Mount Stupid and was trading, and then lost it all, and then gained some of it back. But I realized Bitcoin is the thing. It's the thing that could actually change the way we do commerce. It could incentivize the right behavior, and it could possibly prevent war and all those things. But the first thing I knew we had a problem with our money, and when I heard Bitcoin, I knew once I dug into it that it was better. Yeah, so my story.
That's amazing. How about you, Travis?
Yeah, so I got into Bitcoin a little unusual. Or maybe it's common here, I don't know. So what happened to me was I was a fairly libertarian guy, even as a detective, and I listened to a ton of Dave Smith and Michael Malice, and Michael Malice just radicalized the crap out of me, and I was just like, and if you're in that sphere and listen to a lot of that content, eventually you end up learning about Bitcoin, right? And then I start going into that rabbit hole, and you start reading about the cypherpunks and all that stuff, right? So the revolution aspect is what was really appealing to me. And then another thing that a lot of veterans will face, and for me it was around the time of the Afghan pullout, you look at things like that and you're like, man, what was that for? Were we the bad guys in that situation? You start thinking about that kind of stuff, especially if you're consuming a lot of libertarian content, and you're just it's a real punch in the gut. You volunteered, you served your country, you go and fight and do this stuff, and you might maybe had a good time, part of a good mission, maybe a mission that you thought was really noble and righteous. Then you start second guessing that. That happens to a lot of us, and so then you have Bitcoin come in to my life, and it's like another mission that's in my opinion separating money from state. And I was all about that, but it's such a and you guys know this, Bitcoin, what Bitcoin does, what Bitcoin exposes you to, knowledge-wise, you learn about money and stuff. It's definitely a righteous mission, and so that was what was appealing to me. So it basically kind of replaced what the military stuff was providing for me, in terms of maybe some identity stuff, just that purpose. And so that's one of the things our Bitcoin veterans is good at is, with those guys and gals that are getting out and maybe they're bitter and they're kind of wrestling with what they might have done or their experiences, they can find a lot of like-minded folks. And sometimes you have PTSD thrown into the mix, stuff like that. And it's really healthy for those kind of folks to get exposed and connect and network with other people that are very like-minded, that are in different parts of those processes, and they can help and network and support each other. And so for me, the Bitcoin veterans group, trying to get veterans on the Bitcoin mission is very healthy. And it's think about the suicide rates and all of that stuff. This is a really important mission. I see it as a life-saving kind of thing. So that's why it's really important. Connect us with veterans, and we don't have membership dues or anything. You just fill out a form. You don't even have to dox yourself that much, and we can tell if you're a veteran or not.
Yeah, you guys have a Telegram group that you can easily just join as well, or no?
Yeah, we network with Signal, and we have a ton of chats. And so if you're a military veteran, bitcoinveterans.org, fill out the form, we'll connect with you. We'll throw you in a Signal chat based on your location. And then we have a ton of chats that aren't regional, that are topic-based. So if you want a Bitcoin Citadel, if you want to learn about firearms, if you want to learn about Bitcoin privacy, digital privacy, we have so many chats. I can't even list them. There's probably 50 of them, different topics. And those random topics, we do welcome non-veterans into those. So if you're and if you're in the audience, you're not a veteran, but you're an expert in something, we have a homeschooling channel, right? We have everything. Anything Bitcoiners are interested in, we have a chat for probably. Bitcoin Veterans for Christ even. We have it all. So if you're an expert in those things and you're interested, you have some bandwidth to maybe do some training with our guys and gals, that could be something that we would definitely take you up on. So just fill out that form. Let us know.
Rock on. So the question for both of you guys, so you guys went so hardcore into Bitcoin, then you guys got jobs in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like, how did that even transpire?
Yeah, for me, I had an army buddy actually who's a hardcore Bitcoiner. Has been self-mining, doing all this stuff for years. He's still in, and I had identified, energy, Bitcoin, and finance, and I wanted to kind of understand where those three converged. And he put me on to the miners because that's where a lot of the infrastructure is. That's where a lot of the steel is. And so I just started to recon these companies through Bitcoiner jobs. So I would reply to their job openings, but I was really kind of interviewing the industry to see who's who. And one of the first companies I talked to was actually Mara. And, Fred's a good guy. They are who they portray themselves to be publicly, and I talked to them, but I wasn't really ready to go back to work. I was kind of semi-retired. And then just kind of surfing, hanging out with my family. And then they called me back about 6 months later and were like, hey, we're growing the team. So, I reconned the community and they just called me. But we have worked hard to network with people and build relationships so that when people are interested, our network is growing, not only Bitcoin veterans, Operation Bitcoin's part of that, but we're more than willing to leverage our networks to share good signal throughout there because the veteran community brings a lot of amazing qualities. And I think the more we could recruit the veteran community into Bitcoin, it's just a force multiplier. We can redeem all those lessons, take all, you are who you are biologically, relationally, but also experientially. And we can take a lot of those values, a lot of the things that you learned that you might not have a place for. Bitcoin needs that. Every industry that's connected to Bitcoin needs that. And that's part of what Operation Bitcoin does is Gabe Lord, who's the CEO and founded it, myself, Gabe, Scott, and then Gabe's dad, we started the nonprofit. And Gabe does a good job partnering with Me Premier Bitcoin, so uses their curriculum to educate people about Bitcoin. So if you want to know more about that, we could help you, operationbitcoin.io. And then Gabe came from like the talent acquisition, talent management space. And so just trying to make sure we can help get people placed. But it's largely, a lot of this stuff is bro and sister network. It's self-organized, and even if you don't want to be a part of what we're doing, like go be a part of something. Talk to us about it. We're more than willing to coach you up. We'll share with you what we've learned, point you in the right direction. You could support what we're doing, but do something, right? You have a lot of skills, a lot of experiences, and I think the DoD was a talent sink for a long time, just like finance was a talent sink in other areas. We need more engineers in the world. We need, a lot of other vocations. And Bitcoin is about building. And it's about building like long time horizon. And so, but that's my pitch is like, we need you. And we need you to get involved, whether it's with us or someone else. Like the industry needs you.
Travis, anything else to add?
Yeah, sure. So, I transitioned into the Bitcoin industry. So I work at Swan. And because I just couldn't stop thinking about Bitcoin and I wanted to like contribute and do something. And I needed to put my time and energy into Bitcoin and like any way I could. So I found a position that I could leverage my investigation skills and I made the switch and it shocked everyone in all the task forces I was a member of. They're just like, what are you doing? But they're also kind of not surprised because I was one of those guys that's always talking about Bitcoin, right? And so, and my old job was a lot. It was a lot of stress. You're doing like good work, hunting down like predators online and stuff like that, and it was good work, but it's stressful. And then I just really I felt that need to contribute in some way, and so that's what I did. I transitioned. Bitcoin veterans, even Gabe actually vouched for me, so they helped me, get the job to some extent, and that's a big component of what we're doing is we try to connect people. If you're that far down the rabbit hole, you have to work in it. Then we can try to help with that as well.
Totally. One other idea in eco, I would love to hear from you as well. Is you're probably thinking in the audience like, there's nothing I can do to help these guys. There's actually a number of other opportunities. I see Whit in the audience. I'm going to pull him in a second. the TVA, for example. I connected Gabe with the TVA side, and that workforce development folks, I mean, the veterans that are hired there are like well, not TVA, just in general, I feel like outperform just the regular folks. And so the incentives align to be able to tap into Operation Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Veterans Group, and really making that not a selling point, but a pull-in point to be like, look, if you come in within here, we'll find that purposeful employment, we'll find that mission for you within, whether it's directly in Bitcoin or indirectly, like the TVA, like the healthcare companies, like other areas. So, yeah.
Can I add something to that? I think, so for me also, I went in tomorrow at an entry-level position. And one of the things they said to me is like, hey, you're like a middle management dude. Just because of my resume, I started a nonprofit, Return to Duty, with 3 Green Beret medics that I served with to help special operators with neck and spine injuries. My resume showed like I was a director of some stuff in the DoD, and they were like, hey, why would you, you're a middle management guy. Why should we hire you? And so I was like, well, I'm new to this industry. So I had to take a position that was brand new. And several of my colleagues, military and civilian, will come into the Bitcoin space and will accept a lower level job just to gain the experience and build. And so my encouragement to you is like, I know a lot of people that have done that. One of my colleagues at work is one of the greatest professionals I've ever met. He's an engineer. He's a senior-ish level guy in terms of the capability he brings. And we're kind of sort of nobodies at Mara. But it's the opportunity to build this community and to invest. And even being a small person in terms of my rank and capability, like we were able to get some work done, with Guardrail and some other counterparties. So my encouragement too is, if you just need to get in, there's a value in getting in and gaining the experience, because the sky's the limit. Like we'll be so in good relationships and building good counterparties across the industries. But that was an experience that I had, and I think a lot of us have, is that you're not going to be able to roll right in, totally. But it's hugely rewarding to start moving the needle in the industry.
I'm going to keep going because the rewarding aspect. What's one thing, since you guys have started Bitcoin Veterans, that has like blown your mind in such a positive way? Maybe a story or an experience from you guys that you would never have thought without having the Bitcoin Veterans or Operation Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'll take that one. I think the conference last year was such an eye-opener for all of us, not only us, but anybody who is watching us, because within the span of 6 months, we built an organization, we decentralized, or a group of hundreds of guys working on a project who just get stuff done. And we did it so well that when we came here last year, most of us had never even seen each other, which was pretty amazing. And of course, when vets get together, they get together, right? So
Could you describe that more in detail?
It's like bookending or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we're recording, so.
No, we get along well. So let's leave it at that. But that was pretty amazing because we were able to do so much we're used to centralization. Everybody, we have a hierarchy in the military. This is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. You're in charge, you're in charge, you're in charge. So that didn't happen. As a matter of fact, there's still nobody in charge of Bitcoin Veterans. This is the weirdest thing to me. It is to all of us. We've met a few times to build out our mission vision, kind of stuff like that. But generally speaking, we are still decentralized, meaning if you come in and you're like, hey, I've got this really great idea for a security firm and we're going to do this, they're like, great, let's do it. Let's get 10 people together and work on it, and we're going to do that. So that's very different to us, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that actually is going to happen, that one security firm, because somebody pitched like somebody. By the way, please, anyone else, Luke or Travis?
Well, I was just going to say, two things. One that comes to mind immediately, this guy right here does the daily intelligence brief. If you go to Bitcoin Veterans website, and as an Intel guy, just does a great job, I think. It's, for me, like the way he puts together open source stuff. I think it's really, really helpful. If you haven't checked it out and you want to understand just wave tops of what's happening in the world, I think it's a really good data source for you. And it's those kinds of things, as an example, where a guy like Randy has a capability. It's easy for him. It comes to him fairly easily, but he puts in the work. So seeing something like that just kind of self-organize is pretty neat. And Randy, I appreciate you for doing that. But then also, I think on the human side, you got all these different groups that almost all of us have muted. Like I got a ton of groups on Signal, and I don't have time to look at all of them. But what I've noticed is like how many people are getting helped in terms of relationship. And in my career, I worked more suicides than I can think and than I can really remember, and then suicide ideations. And all that, one of the main anecdotes for that is just building relationships. Relationships insulate people from self-harm on the extreme end of the spectrum of self-harm. And I've seen in the chats, people literally, like, I would consider it cumulatively saving people's lives. Like figuring out how to solve problems, figuring out how to get people jobs, but also like people reaching out. And that's not just germane to veteran communities, but I've noticed that broader part of Bitcoin, but specifically Bitcoin veterans, I've seen people literally identify gaps, begin to meet those needs, whether it's on a personal level or some kind of operational level with a nonprofit or even getting jobs. But several instances where somebody's actually in need and now they found tribe, some shadow of a tribe that they used to have.
A self-organizing tribe.
Yeah.
I love it. Travis, anything to share?
Yeah, so we're very much a proof of work organization. So if you come with an idea, and it's a good idea, then you'll have enough people to support you.
And if it's not, there's no
Too
real
many.
It's a free
support.
market of ideas. I love it. So but if you have the willpower and if you're in the military or you were in the military, you're probably good at planning and executing stuff, right? And so, and we have a lot of leaders, like a lot of people that were, a lot of leaders like NCOs and officers that have done really crazy missions and like overseas. And so like planning missions that we're doing now are just like a lot easier, like organizing a conference or something, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of things that we're doing. Like we also have a podcast. We have Twitter Spaces every day, I think Monday through Thursday, I want to say. We have a Bitcoin veteran named Wade from Alaska. He's like, I want a Bitcoin conference in Alaska.
Is he the one behind that Bitcoin conference?
Yeah. So
Yes.
BitcoinAlaska.org.
Yeah.
Shout out to Wade. So those are the kind of things that happen. If you have a good idea,
Eco,
like,
we're going to Alaska, by the way.
Yeah, we'll throw we have
We're
lots of
driving.
resources and networking and energy, right? We have people with energy, and we can make things happen, right? If it's a good idea.
The human ingenuity, and just in humans in general, is so amazing to me. But when you sprinkle in veterans that are so mission driven, so it's like people always wonder, like when they come to our meetups, it's like, well, there's like, how do you get a bunch of old people, young people, this type? Did you go like do some DEI initiative to like go and recruit all these different people? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Dude, Bitcoin's the common denominator here. It is the gravitational force that brings us all together such that we can quickly develop a relationship. You sprinkle in the veterans that you guys share common experiences, to Randy's point, where you're like, oh yeah, we just hit it off immediately because we're veterans. We exactly know how to talk to each other, act with each other, and go. And then again, sprinkling Bitcoin, it's like the force multiplier within your guys' sub-community of Bitcoin is so freaking amazing. So I just wanted to share that. Eco, do you need to use the restroom, or are you good right now?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. Because we're going to drive to Alaska. You know this.
Road trip.
Road trip, exactly. I know we've been jamming for a good bit right now. And by the way, another point on hiring. If you are hiring, so we set up Bitcoin Park Austin last week. We just made that announcement. Yeah, it's crazy. And there's one gentleman. So our volunteers here we don't have full-time jobs here at Bitcoin Park that are necessary, but we need a lot of volunteer help, and that helps them potentially get, connected with Bitcoin companies, other Bitcoiners and such. Dude, there is one dude down in Austin. His name's Mike White. He's a former submarine leader. That guy is such a badass, and he's a Bitcoiner. He's at the University of Texas getting his MBA. He's to the point where he's did everything last week, pretty much, along with Jack and Andrew and a number of other amazing volunteers. But to the point where he was like, hey, Rod, the trash can is dirty at the bottom. I need to clean the bottom of this trash can. I'm like, Mike, you don't need to clean the bottom of that trash can. Let's keep going. He's like, okay, roger that. It's just unbelievable. You guys are built differently. So I just wanted to share that story. So, how about this? Some closing thoughts, and then we'll cut the live stream and we'll open it up for Q&A if that works for you guys. But again, can you guys give these guys a huge round of applause? Yeah, I don't know, Travis, why don't you start?
Yeah, sure. So, thanks for having me and giving me this opportunity to chat with you guys. If you have veteran family members or friends, or you guys are veterans yourselves, definitely share our website with them, and we're happy to connect with them and see if it's their cup of tea or not. We'll try to, if they're not orange pilled, we'll try to orange pill them.
Real quick, is it so if I'm a no coiner, veteran, and my older brother is a veteran, he's a no coiner, I'm a hardcore orange pilled Bitcoiner. Should I be suggesting to him to join BitcoinVeterans.org, or do I need to get him involved in Bitcoin first to then join Bitcoin Veterans?
No, there's plenty of people there are plenty of vets who will join our chats and are like, hey, I'm new, I don't know anything. And we're like, all right, send us your questions. And you got a lot of people just willing to help, and and it's actually pretty funny because vets are come on and they're going to go right, left. They're just like a little kid. They'll try everything, and then and then we'll correct them as necessary. But we're just doing it because we care about them. That's it. So if you're a vet and you're not even sure about Bitcoin at all, you can either chat with us, get online, get on the chats, and just start asking questions. We've had quite a number of guys just come do that.
So closing thoughts, operationbitcoin.io. You can reach out to us there. The Bitcoin veteran team, they do a podcast every week. They're pretty responsive. Shout out to Jordan, Shane, the rest of the crew, Mike Hobart, the whole crew. Everybody's pretty responsive. If you have questions about anything related to Bitcoin veterans, also if you're a spouse or a family member that's connected to a veteran, hit us up if you want any advice on how to approach those folks. We never want to be the wrong people to call. We want to add value to the veteran community, but to the community at large. And then I would say 256 Foundation, those are the kind of things that we're trying to support, right? It's those kinds of efforts. We want to figure out how can we be force multipliers for you? And this is an organization that these guys have started that's huge. If we could get more veterans, if I could get the first 5 people that want to be a part of what we're doing to just go directly to that mission, that's what we'd want to do, because rising tide lifts all boats. So
Iko, thank you for that. You want to share a little bit about the 256 Foundation and kind of the mission ahead, and maybe some of the veterans that want to potentially support and join?
Yeah, so the 256 Foundation was co-founded by Rod and myself.
Trolling Twitter, but yeah.
About a year ago. And we basically wanted to meme into reality open source Bitcoin mining. And that wasn't a thing at the time. And we leveraged Scott and the BitAxe project because the BitAxe was really the first, believe it or not, and anyone who's not familiar with it, the BitAxe is just a very small computer that has a single ASIC chip on it. And believe it or not, that was actually the first open source Bitcoin mining hardware solution. And so we really loved what Scott had built with the BitAxe project, and we wanted to see Bitcoin mining become free and open, and we wanted to dismantle the proprietary mining empire, which is our mission statement. And we weren't really sure how to do that, but we knew working with Scott was a good place to start. And so we bootstrapped some money from some friends of ours and some crazy supporters who were willing to take a gamble on me and Rod.
Foundry, HRF, massive thank you.
Yeah, and Heatbit too.
And massive Heatbit. Heatbit was huge to push
Yeah.
us over.
And so they trusted us to be good stewards of that money and to allocate that capital in a good way. And we have built the next iteration of a small Bitcoin mining solution that's fully open source. It's about 100 watts, and it has 12 chips on it. It's called the Ember One. And so as we're working on that, in January, we did our first fundraising event, and that's when we solo mined that Bitcoin block. And that's when a lot of eyes and attention were focused on the foundation and our missions. We have 5 projects that we've outlined that we view as critical to blowing the lid off of the closed and proprietary Bitcoin mining ecosystem. So these 5 projects with that block find can now start to get funded. And the last couple of months, we've been talking to developers and identifying the people that are going to run point on each of these projects. There's going to be opportunities for supporting roles and tasks that can help move things along. And by the end of this, there's going to be a complete mining system that has fully open source hash boards, fully open source control board, fully open source firmware, and a fully open source pool application, and a fully open source insights dashboard that helps you host from your own node and watch activity on the blockchain.
That's awesome. I'm ready for this. Give me my popcorn. Add on top of it, we just got also, and then we'll wrap, a donation from Block, Jack Dorsey's company, 256,000 Intel chips. Wow. We got to do whatever we want with them. No strings attached. Other than you can't just, if I give it to you, you can't go resell it on eBay. Sorry, Travis. But I say that because on the veteran side, it's like, going and getting a job and finding a mission. I think one of you guys alluded to, sometimes the veterans are just going straight. They know exactly what they want to do. Or a lot of them, like Randy, entrepreneur 8 times. We want to find folks that are entrepreneurs and want to build actually commercial applications. Right. And we will donate and give them 10,000, 20,000, 1,000 of these Intel chips to build something really, really cool. So we want to we'll figure out a way to communicate that within the Bitcoin veterans community if it hasn't already. But that could be massive because once those chips get out there and we continue to decentralize. By the way, do you know how many does anyone know what a NerdAxe is? Okay, some of you guys. Eco, can you explain a NerdAxe real quick? And then how many NerdAxes are out there mining Bitcoin?
So a NerdAxe is also another open source Bitcoin mining project, but it's a very small device and it only does something on the order of 75 kilohash.
So that's, a BitAxe, how many, go ahead.
So a BitAxe is doing roughly a trillion hashes a second. This thing is doing roughly 75,000 hashes a second. So your chances of finding a block are very small. But the interesting thing about the nerd miners is that they're very cheap, they're consumer hardware, and they can still teach you everything you want to know about Bitcoin mining. You can connect it to a pool, you can see the hash rate, you can see your best difficulty, and you just start to learn and develop this really deep understanding of how Bitcoin mining works from this very cheap and simple device. And I think that's what's important about the nerd miner. And also it doesn't hurt that, technically speaking, it's a non-zero chance that you could mine a block.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
That's right.
But right now on public pool, there's some 73,000 nerd miners.
So the reason why I want to bring this up, there's 73,000 of these devices. Think about it for a second. Some entrepreneur out there is building these and selling them as a commercially viable product, and someone's buying them. how many bid axes are out there? So if we're able to give these, like, there's another entrepreneurial opportunity potentially with the veterans, potentially with a number of folks in this room right now, and I'm so freaking bullish about the opportunities ahead for Bitcoiners. So
Yeah, and just to like highlight that all these open source projects are laying the foundation for commercial opportunities. So none of what the 256 Foundation does involves any marketing, distribution, sales, customer support, manufacturing. Those are all commercial opportunities that can be built on top of the open source designs that the 256 Foundation is producing.
massive. All right, we're going to cut the live stream and open it up for questions. Guys, one more huge round of applause for these folks. That was awesome. Thank you.